What up? Welcome back to the Novelist with the Backwards Hat Guy. This is episode 2. We're going to wrap up our first chapter. So we're going to go on and continue here. So this is chapter 1, Writer's Block. And if you remember last time, we kind of learned a little bit about the family and what they're doing at this house for the summer. Each one in the family kind of has their own reasons for wanting to get away for the summer, kind of refresh. And so we found all the clues. Dan is looking for his notebook. Linda possibly a bottle of wine so she and Dan can have a date night. And Tommy is looking to play some Racing Roger with his dad. So we've got Dan. So he's here to kind of re-energize and get the creative juices flowing for his book as he's facing a deadline. And then Linda, his wife, is looking to kind of rekindle their relationship and their marriage, get that back on track. And Tommy here, he's been bullied quite a bit at school, and his parents are hoping that the time away for the summer will kind of help him out. And so we're zooming around here, and I found there's a couple of things here that I noticed that I missed before. Let's check this out. Pick up more canvases, art store anywhere in town, galleries or studios. I'm assuming that's from Linda, who's enjoying doing some artwork while she's here at this house. And there's another letter here.
Paul, good to hear from you. Listen, things are taking a little longer than expected. I feel good about this one, but I haven't quite brought some of the threads together. It's just an execution hiccup, not a lack of ideas. This is the most complicated book I've ever tried to write, and let's just say I have a newfound respect for guys like Dickens and Joyce who can juggle 10 threads at once without getting lost. I'm figuring some of this stuff out the hard way, I guess you could say. Anyway, the outline I sent you is still good, those are still the beats, those are still the themes I plan to explore. I'll keep you posted, Dan.
Alright, so that's a letter that Dan wrote to his publisher, talking about some of his struggles. So let's check the list again. So we've got some choices here to wrap this first chapter up. We can help Dan with his book, we can help Dan and Linda reconnect, and we can help Tommy and Dan reconnect. So my whole thought on this is that the most important thing is family. So forget work. Dan can work on his book later. And you know, if he has a better relationship with his family, then he'll be in a much better mental state, and maybe he can no distractions here. Maybe he can you know, get those creative juices flowing once he feels a little more secure in his life with his family and happy. So I'm not gonna do the notebook, and so we're gonna help. I think I want to do. We're gonna help him and his wife kind of reconnect. So we're gonna choose the wine bottle. Selecting the wine will choose Linda's resolution for this chapter. Dan and Tommy will be disappointed. However, if you discover Dan or Tommy's desired outcome and haven't spooked them, you'll be able to find a compromise with one of them in the next chapter. Okay, so we're going to choose this one, and we can also find a compromise with one of the other two, so that's cool. It won't be like a full resolution, but it'll be better than nothing. Kaplans are asleep. Explore the house for clues about its past, then whisper your decision to Dan. Alright, so it's dark. It's nighttime. So I chose to go with Linda's resolution. By playing carefully and learning your desires of more than one character, you've earned the ability to find a compromise with any character you didn't spook in the previous chapter. You can only select one character for a compromise. Alright, so we hit tab. So we can choose Dan or Tommy. So I in this situation, I kind of feel like, you know, Dan and his wife need to get reconnected. So if their relationship fails, then everything else will go with it. So I think it's important for them to get back on track with their relationship. And I think, oh, we got a book here. From the desk of Harold Baxter. January 15th, 1948. Mr. Lowry finally gave in and agreed to let me inspect the house. I believe he simply grew tired of hearing me ask, although I think deep down he knows I'm correct. A property like this simply doesn't change hands every year or two without reason. I noticed a pattern when I was cleaning out the old files, and this house kept coming up. It's changed owners 7 times in the last 13 years. I began digging, and not a single one of the sales was financially motivated. People just seemed to be deciding that they'd rather live somewhere else, which doesn't add up in my mind. The view is striking. The isolation and privacy alone make it a great property. The remoteness can't be an issue. Certainly no one who can afford this kind of home needs to work for money. It's a mystery, but that's why I'm here. So 1948, and we've got Harold Baxter. So obviously this house has had multiple owners, so maybe we had something to do with that. Ha ha ha, the ghost. So let's see if we can find anything else. Anything else? Got like a Chinese checkerboard there, some books, regular checkers. So anyways, back to this decision. Again, screw work. Let's choose Tommy's resolution and get Tommy and his dad together. So let's see if we find anything else. Oh, here's the Racing Roger. Here we go. Choose Tommy's compromise. Let's do it. Alright. So Tommy's sleeping. This really is kind of a creepy game. I know you're creeping around the house. Ooh. And like spying on these people. Let's see if there's anything in here real quick. Do a quick check. Anything here about the house? Nope. Okay, let's go back upstairs. Let's check this room. So I have to whisper my decision to Dan. That's kind of really creepy. Oh, we got something here. On the desk of Harold Baxter, January 16th, 1948. So that's a day after the other one. Standing in the kitchen, drinking coffee and admiring the view. I simply don't understand it. Who wouldn't want to see this every morning? That appears to be the great question of 451 Timberline Road. I slept very well last night. It's a good thing the previous owners left the house furnished. I was about as quiet as anywhere I've ever been. The only sounds today are the ocean and a few birds. After I finish breakfast, I plan to begin my inspection. Later on that day, I was expecting the upstairs walkway to make sure the railing was sturdy when I saw something odd downstairs. I'm not certain I can describe what it was, and I've already talked myself halfway out of thinking it was anything at all. It was probably just a trick of the light coming through those big windows. Ooh. So that was his notebook, so we can't select that now. So, Harold Baxter. Investigating the house, and he saw something out of the corner of his eye. Could it be me? The ghost? Alright, looks like we've explored the house. Now let's tell Dan what to do, and we'll see how that plays out. The next night, Dan surprised Linda by grabbing a bottle of wine and asking her if she wanted to drink it and catch up after they got Tommy to bed. They put on their favorite Miles Tanner record and cuddled on the couch, laughing and catching up on the things before settling to bed. The summer was off to a good start for them. Dan knew it was important to start the summer off on a good foot with Tommy, but he couldn't find time to play as long as Tommy wanted. He knocked off early enough to sneak in 2 games, and he made sure to let Tommy win both. But his son was disappointed that they hadn't had more time together. Dan couldn't get past his writer's block. He laid awake for 3 nights trying to think of a way out of his jam, but he couldn't come up with one. He had to stay on schedule, so he forced himself to write a scene just to keep moving. He hated each word as he typed it, but he had no choice. Chapter 2. The Inheritance. Dan got a letter with some surprising... ... Alright, so that is the wrap-up of Chapter 1. We helped Dan and Linda get off to a good start with their relationship, and we helped Dan and Tommy get off to at least a good start. Not quite as good a start as Tommy hoped, but at least they're spending time together, right? But Dan is suffering still and writing his book. So I think we're going to wrap it up there with the conclusion of Chapter 1, and we will start Chapter 2, The Inheritance, in the next episode. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.